US President Donald Trump has praised the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department for its response to the shooting. He spoke briefly to the press in Washington.
It's in many ways a miracle. The police department has done such an incredible job, and we'll be talking about gun laws as time goes by. But I do have to say, how quickly the police department was able to get in was really very much of a miracle. They've done an amazing job. Go ahead, John. He was a sick man, a demented man, a lot of problems, I guess, and we're looking into him very, very seriously, but we're dealing with a very, very sick individual. Thank you.
Well, John Lott is the president of the Crime Prevention Research Centre and joins me now from Washington, D.C. Good to have you with us, John. Tell us, why is it that despite all these mass shootings, Aurora, Newtown, Sandy Hook, Orlando, Las Vegas, support for gun ownership in the U.S. still continues?
Well, because there are two questions. One is, will these types of gun control laws that are being pushed, often within hours before we even know what happened, would actually stop these types of attacks? And two, do a lot of these gun control laws that we have actually contribute to these problems? One thing that you see in virtually all the mass public shootings in the United States is that criminals or these terrorist types go and pick areas where they know victims can't defend themselves, so-called gun-free zones. I mean, I understand the reason why people go and create these areas where guns are banned, but you find from their diaries or other statements that these killers leave that they purposely pick those areas where victims can't defend themselves because they know it's easier for them to go and kill them. And the other reason is simply looking across the world. I mean, Europe has had, either during the Obama administration or since 1970, has had more casualties from mass public shootings per capita than the United States has had. And yet you have France,
but isn't it the case? Isn't it the case that in states where gun control is more stringent, there is less gun crime?
No. If you look before and after states pass laws, the ones that have stricter gun control laws, the ones that make it more difficult, particularly for poor people who live in high-crime urban areas, to be able to go and defend themselves, actually see increases. You see this around the world. I'll give you a simple example. Every single country that's tried to ban either all guns or all handguns has seen an increase in murder rates afterwards. You can't point to one country where they banned all guns or all handguns and seen a drop in murder rates. You think out of randomness, you'd have one
Well, in the
UK,
we had handguns that were banned. In the UK, handguns were banned, and there has been a drop in handgun murder.
In January '97, they banned handguns, and over the next 8 years, the homicide rate went up 50%. It was only after they increased the number of police in the country by 18%, which is a massive increase, that the murder rate went back down to about what it was prior to the ban. But before you had that huge increase in the number of police, you had a 50% increase in the number of in the homicide rate in the country.
But can I ask you, Jim? I mean, just as a straightforward question, Statistics aside, isn't it the case that in the US, gun control is the way it is because of vested interests, because of the powerful gun lobby?
Well, if that was the case, then we should have a lot of gun control, because Michael Bloomberg is massively outspending the NRA. You look at campaign donations over the two last federal elections. Michael Bloomberg, who's a big gun control advocate, has donated over $48.5 million to federal candidates. At the same time, the NRA, which is the big one on the other side, has donated $2.1 million. And the gap is even bigger when you're talking about state legislative races. Bloomberg will go into a state Senate race and spend $1 million or $2 million just in one little state Senate race. The NRA, there's no way they could do that. Bloomberg he had 2 initiatives on the ballot last year to push gun control. He lost effectively in both, and he outspent his opponents by 10 or 6 to 1 in both of those cases. And yet, despite massively outspending the people who are in favor of self-defense, he still lost those things.
John, thank you very much indeed for that. Good to speak with you. John Lott there in Washington.